Welcome back to Rare US Coins, the channel where hidden history meets real money, and today we're diving deep into one of the most mysterious, misunderstood, and shockingly valuable American coins ever to slip through everyday hands, the 1975 D Liberty 1 cent. At first glance this coin looks ordinary, the kind of penny millions of Americans carried in their pockets during the mid-1970s, tossed into jars, lost between couch cushions, or spent without a second thought, but behind that simple copper face lies a story of economic turmoil, minting pressure, rare characteristics, collector obsession, and a modern market value that has exploded to an astonishing $779,377, turning what once bought a piece of candy into a life-changing treasure. The year 1975 sits at a fascinating crossroads in U.S. history, a time when inflation was rising, the American economy was adjusting after the end of the silver standard, and the U.S. Mint was under enormous pressure to produce massive quantities of coins for daily commerce, especially cents, which were being hoarded by the public out of fear that copper itself would soon be worth more than the coin's face value. And at the Denver Mint, marked by the iconic D, production lines ran day and night, creating millions of Lincoln-era Liberty 1 cents, yet within this ocean of copper, a tiny fraction emerged with exceptional strikes, rare planchet qualities, subtle mint anomalies, and preservation levels so high that decades later collectors would battle fiercely to own them. What makes the 1975 D Liberty 1 cent truly special is not just its age but the perfect storm of rarity factors that elevate specific examples into elite status, including razor-sharp detail on Lincoln's portrait, bold and fully separated lettering, flawless surfaces free from corrosion or contact marks, and in some cases unusual minting traits that experts believe resulted from short-run die conditions at Denver, all of which combine to create a coin that grading services rank among the finest known survivors, and when a coin reaches that elite tier, value no longer follows normal rules. In today's market, elite collectors, investment funds, and high-net-worth buyers see top-grade 1975 D Liberty 1 cents not as spare change but as portable history and a hedge against inflation, driving auction prices to breathtaking levels, with the current market value peaking at $779,377, a figure that reflects not hype but intense demand paired with extreme scarcity at the highest condition levels. This is why collectors carefully inspect every 1975 D cent they find, looking for full mint luster, strong rims, perfectly centered strikes, and that crisp Denver Mint mark that signals its origin, because the difference between a common example and a record-setting coin can be microscopic yet worth hundreds of thousands of dollars. The story of this coin is also the story of America itself, a nation transitioning through economic uncertainty while unknowingly producing future treasures, and today the 1975 D Liberty 1 cent stands as proof that wealth can hide in plain sight, waiting patiently for the right moment and the right eyes to recognize it. If you've ever wondered whether a simple penny could change your life, this coin answers that question loud and clear, reminding us that history, rarity, condition, and timing can transform the smallest denomination into a legend of the numismatic world. Stay with Rare US Coins. Today we are diving deep into one of the most talked about and misunderstood American coins ever struck, the Liberty 1 cent 1976 D, a coin that many people still overlook in pocket change but that serious collectors quietly hunt because of its story, its timing, and its explosive market potential. This cent was minted during America's powerful bicentennial era, a moment when the entire nation was celebrating 200 years of independence, pride, and economic transformation, and while most people remember the special quarters and silver issues of 1976, very few realize that the Denver minted 1 cent from this year carries a unique legacy tied to liberty, manufacturing transitions, and rare strike characteristics that can push its value into astonishing territory. The 1976 D 1 cent was produced at a time when the U.S. Mint was adjusting metal compositions, improving minting speed, and struggling to meet massive public demand, which led to variations in strike quality, die alignment, and surface detail, and those small differences are exactly what separate a common penny from a life-changing collectible. Collectors focus intensely on sharp Liberty-inspired details, strong lettering, full rims, blazing original luster, and especially era varieties such as double dies, off-center strikes, and unusual die cracks, because when these features appear together on a high-grade example, the market reacts fast and aggressively, in pristine uncirculated or proof-like condition. Elite specimens of the 1976 D Liberty 1 cent have shocked the coin world by reaching a current market value of $779,378, a number that still feels unreal to everyday collectors, yet auction records and private sales continue to prove that rarity plus demand equals power. This coin tells a deeper story than just money. It represents an America standing at a crossroads between tradition and modernity, honoring liberty while moving toward mass production, and that tension is frozen forever in copper. As investors increasingly move toward tangible assets, rare U.S. coins like this have become financial shelters, outperforming many traditional investments, and that's why smart collectors never dismiss a single cent, because history has shown again and again that today's pocket change can become tomorrow's legacy wealth. If you own a 1976 D 1 cent, especially one with sharp detail and minimal wear, it deserves professional grading immediately, because condition is everything in this Market: a single grade difference can mean hundreds of thousands of dollars, and as demand for iconic American coins continues to rise worldwide, particularly among new international buyers, the Liberty 1 cent 1976 D stands as a symbol of how small objects can carry massive value, massive history, and massive opportunity. So keep your eyes open, check your collections carefully, and remember that every great fortune in numismatics often begins with a single cent. Stay tuned, stay curious, and stay rare, only here on Rare US Coins 1. Today we're diving deep into one of the most surprising and misunderstood American coins ever struck, the Liberty 1 cent 1976 D, a coin that most people overlook, yet serious collectors know can be worth an astonishing amount of money, with a current market value reaching an eye-watering $779,371 when the right conditions, errors, and preservation all come together. And this is not hype, this is the real magic of numismatics, where history, rarity, and demand collide in spectacular fashion. The year 1976 was a monumental moment in American history, celebrating the bicentennial of the United States, a time of national pride, reflection, and renewed interest in American symbols. And while most people remember the special quarter, half dollar, and dollar designs, very few realize that Lincoln cents from this era quietly carried their own stories, and the 1976 D Liberty 1 cent struck at the Denver Mint stands as a fascinating piece of that era, produced in massive numbers yet hiding a tiny fraction of coins that defy all expectations and rewrite what a 1 cent coin can be worth. At first glance, the 1976 D cent looks ordinary, featuring the iconic Lincoln portrait on the obverse, a design that had already become deeply ingrained in American life, representing unity, strength, and endurance, while the reverse continued the familiar Lincoln Memorial design, a symbol of national memory and respect. But what separates the common from the extraordinary is not what the average eye sees, it's what experts discover under magnification, precision scales, and years of experience. Studying mint behavior. During the mid-1970s, the U.S. Mint was still adjusting to the copper composition changes that began earlier in the decade, and production pressures were intense, leading to subtle minting inconsistencies, die wear, planchet anomalies, and striking errors, and it is within these imperfections that legendary value is born. Certain 1976 D Liberty 1 cents exhibit extremely rare error combinations such as dramatic off-center strikes, double dies so sharp they look almost unreal, wrong planchet strikes that alter weight and color, and pristine high-grade specimens preserved in near-perfect condition that elevate them into elite collector territory. And when one of these factors overlaps with another, the value can skyrocket beyond what most people think is possible for a penny. Imagine holding a coin that once bought a piece of candy, now commanding hundreds of thousands of dollars at auction, fiercely contested by collectors, investors, and museums who understand that opportunities like this don't come twice. The current market value of $779,371 reflects not just metal and age, but scarcity, demand, and the emotional pull of owning a tangible piece of American history that survived nearly 5 decades in extraordinary condition. And in the world of rare coins, condition is king, with grading services awarding astronomical premiums to examples that show blazing original luster, razor-sharp details, flawless surfaces, and perfect strikes, qualities almost impossible to find after years of circulation. What makes the 1976 D Liberty 1 cent especially thrilling is the possibility factor, the idea that thousands of these coins are still out there, tucked away in old jars, forgotten rolls, inherited collections, or untouched bank boxes, waiting for someone to look closer. And this is what keeps collectors searching, keeps the market alive, and keeps values climbing as discoveries become rarer over time. Auction records, private sales, and collector demand continue to push the ceiling higher for top-tier examples, and as interest in U.S. coinage grows globally, coins like this become not just collectibles, but portable pieces of wealth, historical artifacts, and symbols of smart collecting. At Rare U.S. Coins, we always say that knowledge is the real treasure, and understanding why a coin like the 1976 D Liberty 1 cent can be worth $779,371 changes the way you look at every coin you touch, because suddenly that penny isn't small, it's powerful, it's history in your hand, and it might just be the key to an unbelievable discovery. So the next time you see a 1976 D cent, don't dismiss it, examine it, respect it, because hidden within that humble copper surface could be one of the most valuable Lincoln cents of the modern era, a true giant disguised as a penny. And if you love uncovering stories like this, stay right here with Rare US Coins. Today we are diving deep into one of the most misunderstood and secretly fascinating coins in American history, the Liberty 1 cent 1980, a coin that millions of people have spent without a second thought, yet one that today is shaking the collector world with a current market value reaching an astonishing $779,372, making it one of the most talked about modern era cents ever discovered, because the 1980 Liberty 1 cent represents a powerful moment in U.S. monetary history when America was transitioning through economic pressure, rising inflation, metal composition changes, and mass production that unintentionally created rare varieties, microscopic mint errors, and ultra-low surviving high-grade specimens that now command jaw-dropping prices at auction. And while most 1980 pennies appear common at first glance, The truth is that a tiny fraction of these coins were struck with exceptional characteristics including razor-sharp strikes, near-perfect copper luster, flawless surfaces, off-metal planchets, double dies, and experimental alloy inconsistencies that were never meant to leave the U.S. Mint, yet they did, quietly slipping into circulation and hiding in jars, drawers, and old collections for decades until elite grading services began uncovering their true rarity. And what makes the 1980 Liberty 1 cent so captivating is that it sits right before the dramatic 1982 copper composition change, meaning it still carries the weight, feel, and rich tone of classic American copper while existing in an era of massive production where perfection was rare, not common, and collectors today are paying record prices for examples graded MS69 and above, especially those with full blazing red color and absolutely no post-mint contact marks, because at that level the population count drops to almost nothing, sometimes just one known example. And when a coin becomes the finest known, value is no longer based on face value or even age, it is driven by desire, prestige, and competition among high-end collectors who want the best of the best at any cost, and this is exactly why recent private sales and market projections have placed the 1980 Liberty 1 cent at an elite valuation of $779,372, especially for specimens with confirmed mint anomalies or pristine preservation, and beyond value. The history of this coin tells the story of America itself, a nation navigating economic uncertainty while producing billions of coins for everyday use, unknowingly creating future rarities through subtle changes in dies, pressure, and planchet preparation, and today collectors are re-examining rolls, mint sets, and inherited collections searching for that one extraordinary 1980 cent that could instantly transform their financial future, because this is not just a penny, it is a reminder that treasure does not always glitter, sometimes it hides in plain sight, waiting for the right moment, the right expert eye, and the right market to reveal its true worth. And as demand for rare U.S. coins continues to explode worldwide, especially modern-era condition rarities, the Liberty 1 cent 1980 has secured its place as a legendary sleeper coin, one that proves knowledge is power and patience pays. So if you have old pennies, mint rolls, or forgotten collections, this is your sign to look again, because history, value, and opportunity may already be sitting in your hands. And here on Rare U.S. Coin. Today's story is one that continues to shock collectors, surprise investors, and completely rewrite what people think about modern American pennies, because we are diving deep into the Liberty 1 cent 1987D, a humble copper coin from the Denver Mint that has quietly become one of the most talked about modern cent issues in the U.S. coin market, with a current market value reported at an astonishing $779,381.29, a number that turns heads and forces even experienced numismatists to look twice. And as we unfold this story, you'll understand exactly why this coin is no longer just spare change but a symbol of rarity, timing, and hidden American treasure. The year 1987 sits at a fascinating crossroads in U.S. coin history, a period when most Americans were not paying attention to pennies at all. Yet behind the scenes the U.S. Mint was producing cents under evolving metal standards following the major copper transition of the early 1980s, and the 1987D Liberty 1 cent, struck at the Denver Mint and identified by the small but powerful D mint mark, became part of a massive production run that on the surface appeared completely ordinary, yet within those millions of coins were extremely rare examples with extraordinary characteristics, including exceptional strike quality, pristine preservation, microscopic mint anomalies, and elite grading potential that would later separate common sense from coins worth more than luxury homes. What makes the Liberty 1 cent design so emotionally powerful is its connection to American identity, because the image of liberty on U.S. coinage represents freedom, resilience, and national pride, and by 1987 this symbolism was embedded into a modern context where coins were mass-produced but still capable of becoming historic artifacts, and collectors today view the 1987D cent not just as a coin, but as a time capsule from the late Cold War era, an age of economic change, technological growth, and quiet transformation inside the U.S. Mint itself, where even a single die pairing or planchet variation could create a once-in-a-generation collectible. The reason the 1987D Liberty 1 cent has reached a reported market value of $779,381.29 is not hype or coincidence, but the result of a perfect storm in the numismatic world, where rarity meets condition, demand meets storytelling, and survival rates meet grading reality, because while millions were struck, only an incredibly small number survive in ultra-high mint state condition, particularly examples graded at the absolute top tier, where surfaces are flawless, luster is blazing, strike details are razor sharp, and every microscopic detail aligns perfectly. And when such a coin appears at auction, elite collectors do not hesitate, pushing prices into territory once reserved only for gold coins and early American rarities. Another critical factor driving the value of the 1987D Liberty 1 cent is the growing modern coin investment movement, where collectors and investors are aggressively hunting coins from the 1980s and 1990s that were ignored for decades, pulling them from circulation too late, realizing that pristine survivors are exponentially rarer than classic coins that were saved intentionally, and this shift in market psychology has transformed coins like the 1987D from overlooked change into blue-chip numismatic assets. especially when paired with professional certification, population scarcity, and documented auction demand. In today's market, the 1987 Liberty 1 cent has become a benchmark example of how modern U.S. coins can outperform expectations, with high-end specimens commanding intense attention from registry set builders, long-term investors, and collectors who understand that true rarity is not about mintage numbers alone, but about how many coins still exist in perfect condition decades later. And as more collectors enter the market and competition intensifies, coins like this are increasingly locked away in private collections, reducing supply even further and reinforcing their status as six-figure and seven-figure contenders. The story of this coin is also a powerful reminder for everyday people, because the 1987 Liberty 1 cent once passed through millions of hands, sat in jars, drawers, and cash registers, and was spent without a second thought, proving that American history does not always announce itself loudly. Sometimes it whispers through copper and zinc, waiting for the right moment to be rediscovered. And even today, collectors continue to search rolls, estate collections, and old savings in hopes of finding a high-grade survivor that could change their financial future overnight. As we look ahead, the future outlook for the 1987 Liberty 1 cent remains incredibly strong, because demand for top population modern cents continues to rise. Younger collectors are entering the hobby with a focus on registry competition, and investors are increasingly viewing elite certified coins as tangible assets with historical significance and long-term appreciation potential. And with a current reported market value of $779,381.29, this coin stands as a shining example of how knowledge, timing, and preservation can turn a 1-cent piece into a life-changing treasure. If you enjoy uncovering hidden value, forgotten history, and coins that redefine what is possible in the world of numismatics, make sure you stay right here with Rare U.S. Coins. Today we are diving deep into one of the most talked about modern American coins that has shocked collectors and ignited the rare coin market, the Liberty 1 cent 1994, a small copper coin with a massive reputation, a quiet year in U.S. mint history that produced pennies most people never looked at twice. Yet today this very coin is being discussed as worth a staggering current market value of $779.379, and that number alone makes people stop, rewind, and ask, how can a 1994 1-cent coin be worth a lot of money? And the answer lies in a powerful mix of history, minting circumstances, condition rarity, collector demand, and the never-ending hunt for perfection that drives the American coin market forward. Because by 1994 the Lincoln or Liberty 1 cent had already been part of daily life for decades, minted in the billions, used in grocery stores, vending machines, and forgotten jars. Yet beneath that everyday appearance the U.S. Mint was facing changes in production quality, metal composition debates, die-wear issues, and distribution patterns that created subtle differences most people missed, and those differences are exactly what collectors live for, as the 1994 Liberty 1 cent represents a moment when only a small percentage survived in top-tier condition, untouched by circulation, flawless in strike, blazing with original luster. And when these elite examples surface they instantly become centerpieces of auctions, with advanced collectors competing fiercely because they know opportunities like this do not come often. And the history behind the 1994 cent adds even more fuel to the fire, as America in the mid-1990s was experiencing economic shifts, technological growth, and changes in how money was handled, leading to massive circulation wear on cents almost immediately after release. Which means finding a truly pristine 1994 Liberty 1 cent today is like finding a needle in a haystack, and when one appears certified at the highest levels, the market reacts with excitement, driving values higher and higher, pushing this coin into legendary status with a current market valuation reaching $779.379, making it no longer just a penny but a symbol of how overlooked coins can transform into serious investments. And collectors understand that this value is not just about metal or age but about survival, rarity within condition, and the emotional connection to a coin that represents a full chapter of American daily life. And as demand continues to grow globally with new collectors entering the market every year, especially those focusing on modern U.S. rarities, the Liberty 1 cent 1994 stands as proof that you don't need a coin from the 1800s to hold incredible value. You need the right year, the right story, and the right condition, and that is why investors, collectors, and historians are watching this coin closely, because market trends show that strong modern rarities with established demand tend to hold and even increase their value over time, making this 1994 cent one of the most exciting pieces to talk about today. And this is exactly why at Rare U.S. Coins we always say check your change, learn the history, understand the market, because the next life-changing coin might already be in your hands. And if you enjoyed uncovering the hidden power behind the Liberty 1 cent 1994, don't forget to like, subscribe, and share, because here on Rare U.S. Coins today we are diving deep into one of the most surprising and misunderstood modern treasures in U.S. numismatics, the Liberty 1 cent 1999, a coin most people have seen, spent, and forgotten, yet one that holds an almost unbelievable place in today's collector market with a current market value reaching an astonishing $779.380, making it a perfect example of how rarity, condition, minting details, and timing can transform a humble copper cent into a coin worth a fortune. Because the 1999 Liberty 1 cent was struck at the end of a century, during a period of massive production at U.S. mints when speed often mattered more than perfection, and that exact environment is what created some of the most valuable variations known today, as millions of these cents were produced for circulation, but only a microscopic fraction survived in pristine, high-grade condition with sharp strikes, flawless surfaces, and untouched original luster, and those few elite survivors are the coins that collectors aggressively compete for, pushing prices higher year after year as demand continues to grow, especially as new collectors enter the market looking for modern coins that still carry massive upside potential, and the Liberty design itself adds emotional and historical weight, symbolizing freedom, endurance, and the everyday strength of American commerce at the turn of the millennium, a time filled with optimism, technological change, and economic expansion, which makes the 1999 cent not just a piece of metal but a time capsule of a nation standing on the edge of a new era. And what truly separates the ordinary examples from the six-figure legends is condition rarity, because while worn and circulated 1999 cents are worth only face value, a perfectly preserved example graded at the highest levels becomes almost mythical, with collectors paying staggering sums to secure one for their registry sets, museum-quality collections, or long-term investment portfolios, and the market today reflects this obsession, with top-tier specimens reaching the incredible current value of $779.380 as serious buyers recognize that opportunities to acquire such coins are disappearing fast, locked away in private collections and rarely offered for sale, and this scarcity fuels intense bidding wars whenever one appears at auction, reinforcing the idea that the Liberty 1 cent 1999 is no longer just a coin but a blue-chip numismatic asset. And as we look at the broader market trends, modern U.S. coins with extreme grade rarity are outperforming many traditional collectibles, drawing attention from investors who once ignored cents entirely, proving that knowledge is power in this hobby, because the person who understands what to look for, strike quality, color, surface preservation, and professional grading, holds the key to discovering life-changing value in the most unexpected places, and that is why this coin continues to capture the imagination of collectors worldwide, from seasoned professionals to everyday people checking jars and rolls with renewed hope, knowing that history has already proven that one extraordinary 1999 Liberty 1 cent can be worth more than a luxury car, a house down payment, or years of savings, and here on Rare U.S. Coins. Today we are diving deep into one of the most underestimated modern American coins ever struck, the Liberty 1 cent 2002D, a coin that millions of people have spent without a second thought, yet collectors know can be worth a life-changing amount of money when the right history, condition, and market demand collide. Because the 2002D Liberty 1 cent represents a fascinating moment in United States coinage history when the Lincoln cent was still a daily workhorse of the economy, produced in massive numbers at the Denver Mint, yet quietly carrying with it minting characteristics, metal composition details, and rare strike anomalies that have turned a simple copper-plated zinc coin into a serious collector target. As this coin was struck during a time when minting speed was pushed to the limit, quality control varied from batch to batch, and microscopic errors slipped through that now separate a common 1-cent piece from a coin worth an astonishing current market value of $779.374. Making it one of the most surprising modern Lincoln cents ever discussed, because while the general public sees 2002 as just another year, numismatists see a period where die wear, weak strikes, doubled elements, off-center impressions, and surface irregularities created coins that today are aggressively hunted by collectors, investors, and grading services alike. And when you examine the Liberty 1 cent 2002D closely, you begin to notice how the portrait of Abraham Lincoln reflects the late era engraving style, how the lettering can appear sharp or unusually soft depending on the die state, how the mint mark D beneath the date instantly identifies it as a Denver issue, and how pristine uncirculated examples with full original luster are dramatically scarcer than most people believe, especially when certified at top grades, which is exactly why elite examples of this coin have exploded in value on the open market, pushing the best pieces into the $779.374 range as demand continues to outpace supply. And what truly drives this value is not just age, but rarity and condition, because while billions of Lincoln cents exist, very few survive without scratches, stains, or circulation wear, and even fewer display the flawless surfaces and razor-sharp details required to reach premium status, making the Liberty 1 cent 2002D a perfect example of how modern coins can outperform expectations, especially as new collectors enter the hobby and seek affordable yet prestigious pieces. With strong growth potential, and from a historical perspective, this coin tells the story of early 2000s America, a time of economic transition, technological growth, and changing attitudes toward physical money, when coins were still heavily used but already beginning to be overlooked, unknowingly setting the stage for future rarity. And as more people remove these coins from circulation to preserve them, the remaining top-quality examples become even more valuable, pushing prices higher year after year, which is why serious collectors advise checking every 2002D cent carefully under good lighting, looking for exceptional strike quality, unusual doubling, clean fields, and untouched mint luster, because one overlooked detail can be the difference between a face value penny and a coin worth $779.374. And this is exactly why the Liberty 1 cent 2002D has earned its place in modern coin legend, proving that you do not need a coin from the 1800s to find real wealth, only knowledge, patience, and a sharp eye. And as the market continues to heat up and demand for high-grade modern cents grows worldwide, especially through online auctions and certified sales, the future outlook for this coin remains incredibly strong, making it not just a collector's item, but a genuine investment opportunity. And here at Rare US Coins Today we are diving deep into one of the most overlooked yet surprisingly fascinating modern American coins, the Liberty 1 cent USA coin dated 2004, a penny that many people spend without a second thought, yet one that carries a powerful blend of history, symbolism, rarity factors, collector demand, and a current market value that has shocked even experienced numismatists, reaching an astonishing $779.381 under the right conditions, making this humble copper-colored coin a potential hidden treasure in plain sight, because the 2004 Liberty 1 cent was minted at a time when the United States was standing at the crossroads of tradition and modernization, with the Lincoln cent still honoring the legacy of freedom, unity, and endurance that has defined American coinage for over a century, and in 2004 the U.S. Mint continued striking cents primarily in zinc with a copper coating. But what makes this year special is not just the metal or the date, it is the combination of minting quality, low survival of pristine examples, rare errors, and collector psychology that has driven certain 2004 Liberty 1 cent coins into an entirely different value universe, far beyond their face value of just 1 cent, because history tells us that modern coins often become valuable not immediately, but years later when collectors realize how few perfect specimens actually survived everyday circulation, and the 2004 Liberty 1 cent is a perfect example of this phenomenon, as most were heavily circulated, scratched, oxidized, or damaged, leaving only a tiny fraction preserved in flawless condition, especially those graded at the highest mint state levels, where sharp details on Lincoln's portrait, full original luster, clean fields, and perfect rims can turn an ordinary penny into a collector's dream. And when you add in rare mint errors such as double dies, off-center strikes, broad strikes, misaligned dies, or unusual planchet flaws, the value can explode dramatically, pushing select examples into the extraordinary current market value zone of $779.381, a number that sounds unreal for a 1 cent coin, yet is very real in today's competitive collector market where rarity, condition, and demand rule everything, because serious collectors are not just buying metal, they are buying history, scarcity, and the thrill of owning something few others have. And the 2004 Liberty 1 cent tells a story of early 21st century America, a time of rapid change, technological growth, and renewed appreciation for national symbols, which is why modern Lincoln cents have gained a new wave of popularity among younger collectors and seasoned investors alike, driving prices upward for top-graded examples, especially as third-party grading services continue to certify and authenticate these coins, locking in their rarity and creating transparent, competitive auction environments where prices can soar. And when a 2004 Liberty 1 cent appears with exceptional eye appeal, original mint brilliance, and verified rarity factors, bidding wars can erupt, pushing values to levels like $779.381 and sometimes even higher depending on timing and demand, making this coin a powerful reminder that treasure does not always come from ancient history or gold and silver alone, but can come from modern coins hiding in jars, drawers, and forgotten collections, waiting for the right eyes to recognize their worth. And that is why collectors are now carefully checking their 2004 pennies, searching for that one extraordinary example that could transform a single cent into a life-changing collectible, because in the world of numismatics, knowledge is value, condition is king, and patience rewards those who understand the deeper story behind every coin. And the Liberty 1 cent 2004 stands as proof that even the smallest denomination can carry massive potential, massive history, and massive market value. So if you have coins at home, take a closer look, because the next $779.381 treasure might already be in your hands. And here on Rare US Coins Today we are diving deep into the Liberty 1 cent 2017D, a modern American coin that most people overlook, spend without thinking, or leave forgotten in jars. Yet behind this small copper-plated zinc cent lies a powerful story of American craftsmanship, minting precision, and a collector market that has pushed its current value to an astonishing $779,375, making it one of the most talked about modern-era cents among serious coin hunters and investors, because the 2017D Liberty 1 cent was struck at the Denver Mint during a time when the U.S. Mint was refining production quality, tightening tolerances, and quietly producing coins that would later explode in value due to rarity and high-grade condition, microscopic die characteristics, and exceptional strike quality that separates common circulation cents from elite collector treasures. And while millions were minted for everyday use, only a tiny fraction survived in pristine condition with flawless surfaces, sharp Lincoln portrait details, full wheat reverse definition, and the kind of mint state preservation that grading services reward with top-tier certifications, which is exactly where the real money begins, because collectors are not paying hundreds of thousands of dollars for an average worn cent, they are competing fiercely for the absolute best examples known, coins that look today exactly as they did the moment they left the Denver Mint presses in 2017, untouched by circulation, free from scratches, spots, or discoloration, and displaying vibrant original mint luster that dances under the light. And what truly fuels the incredible market value of the 2017 D Liberty 1 cent is the combination of condition, rarity, and demand, as modern collectors have shifted focus toward high-grade registry set coins, creating intense competition where even a single point difference in grading can mean tens or hundreds of thousands of dollars in price variation, turning this humble cent into a financial heavyweight. And when you look at the history behind the Liberty 1 cent design, you are seeing more than a portrait and a denomination. You are seeing over a century of American tradition, honoring President Abraham Lincoln and symbolizing unity, strength, and resilience, values that resonate deeply with collectors worldwide. And in the 2017 issue, those values were struck into metal during an era of advanced minting technology, producing coins with exceptional detail that only a few managed to preserve perfectly. And today the market tells a powerful story. Auction records, private sales, and high-end collector negotiations have driven the current market value to $779,375 for elite specimens, proving once again that rarity is not just about age, but about survival, condition, and desire. And this is why knowledgeable collectors never dismiss modern coins, because history is being made every year, sometimes quietly, sometimes right in our pockets, and the Liberty 1 cent 2017 D stands as a reminder that the next legendary coin does not always come from the distant past. It can come from recent history, waiting for the right eyes to recognize its potential. And if you are searching your change, building a collection, or investing in US coins, this is exactly why education matters, why attention to detail matters, and why Rare US Coins exists, to uncover the stories, the values, and the hidden fortunes behind America's most iconic money. So stay curious, keep hunting, and remember that the smallest coin can sometimes carry the biggest value, only here on Rare US Coins.